Welcome to episode 109 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic. All right, so here it is. This is what we've kind of been waiting for. Since I was a kid, I've been waiting for something like this. And this is Justice League. So this is our review, spoilerific review of Justice League. Yeah, we are going into more detail than you probably want to. And so let me just get the boring stuff out of the way. As always, we go through Rotten Tomatoes, and it is sitting at 39%. 238 reviews. 238 reviews. So actually, it's a little bit less. So the movie is so bad that critics didn't even want to go fucking see it. Because I actually did the math for the DCEU, and they average around 330 something reviews per movie. So we are recording this on a Sunday night. And only 238 reviews. It's actually turned off reviewers from seeing this movie. So Good job, Zack Snyder. It's 100 less people who are actually paid to do this shit that didn't want to go see this movie.
That's crazy.
They're like, you can fire me. I'm not going. So what's worse news, though, because Rotten Tomatoes doesn't mean anything as long as you can make money. That's why Michael Bay still has a fucking job. So even worse, though, it's not making money. It is so far behind the original, not the original Batman v Superman, and it's so far behind, I think, in my opinion, of Wonder Woman and even Thor that just came out. So it's sitting at 96 million is projected for the whole weekend. So just to give you some kind of idea of how shitty that actually is, there's 6 superheroes in this movie. The Holy Trinity is in this movie, right? It's doing 96 million for the first weekend. Wonder Woman alone did 103.
Yep.
And
went on to do 421 million. So it
right. And Thor did what, 114 or something like that in its opening weekend.
It
was better than Wonder Woman. It was better than Wonder Woman. So one sixth of the Justice League did better in her own movie, and some dude with a hammer did better than you guys. I didn't even know who Thor was when I was fucking 5.
No, I had no idea.
If you told my 6-year-old self, like, hey, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman are all going to be in a movie together, and then there's another movie that is some guy with a hammer, I would have been like, who's that guy? I want to see this movie.
Right.
But then they hired Zack Snyder. So let's get right into it. Your initial reaction, shoot.
Well, just as I had expected, although I should say going into this movie, I had very low expectations, but I also was really hoping that I would at least, enjoy it, just kick back and watch a mindless movie, because that's what this was. And I have to say that there were a couple parts that I actually, laughed out loud or thought were kind of cool, but you're talking about a fraction of 1% of the movie I did that. So, which that percentage will come into play. I mean, this is exactly what I expected. It was not a good movie. There were it was really shoddy filmmaking, really bad CG. I mean, gosh, Wonder Woman, they gave her an amazing movie, and I just felt bad for her. I was just like, oh my gosh, like they've just reduced you down to like nothing again. And, they introduced Aquaman, they introduced the Flash. It means nothing because we haven't gotten to know these. Yeah, Cyborg. I almost forgot about him because he's pretty forgettable. I wish they would have spent time building these characters up in their own movies before coming to this movie, because I had no emotional stake in any of it, of any of the characters except Wonder Woman. But even then, she's like indestructible. She's not going to die. She's not going to get hurt. Just overall, extremely, disappointed, like I knew I was going to be, and have a lot to say about this movie. I mean, as far as like, probably more to say about this movie than the movies that came before it. Just really disappointed because, folks, this is what we've all been waiting for since we were little kids. I mean, I still feel to this day that DC has the better superheroes and the better villains than Marvel could ever dream of. But Marvel has taken their time and effort and wrote really, with the exception of a couple movies. Okay, I mean, there's some movies of Marvel I very much dislike, just as much as Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman and so on. So, but this movie, in all accounts, should have made millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars. People should have went in droves to watch this movie, but because they've been burned 3 times, I don't blame them. And honestly, like off podcast, I said, probably not even on podcast, I said I didn't want to watch this movie. I'm only watching it because we're going to review it. If we didn't have to review it, I'd have been like, I'll just watch it on the flippity flip, and take my time. But this movie's just god awful. There's so much shit in it. But anyway, your reaction. Sorry, I'm just rambling now.
All right, so my initial reaction was, my initial reaction was right after the DC Comics thing popped up, and they did the Spider-Man Homecoming intro, and I was like, fuck. I was like, you could not have started this movie any fucking worse for me. They literally had, and the Superman one was, unlike the Spider-Man Homecoming one, the Spider-Man Homecoming one was perfect. I'd never seen a movie open like that. It was just perfect how it encapsulated this being a kid in high school who would be put in that situation. You'd fucking, you'd make a video thing of it on your cell phone, and that made complete sense. Now, this movie doesn't open up with Superman doing fucking, selfie videos, but it still took me completely out of the movie. I just could not believe what I was watching. I'm like, did you guys see Spider-Man Homecoming? Did nobody tell you, like, hey, out of all the minutes we cut out of this movie, we should cut out this fucking intro because Marvel already fucking did it?
So did Incredibles did it too.
Oh, right, that's right. They did the TV version.
I just kept thinking about the Incredibles.
So right off the bat, I was fucking pissed. Right off the bat, I was mad. And then, surprisingly, there was a lot of things in here that I actually enjoyed myself in, like all the fight scenes, pretty much basically till the end. I was pretty good with when they fought. The action sequence in the beginning, I was all for that. They actually did looked really well.
Wait, was that on Themyscira?
That was one of them. That was fucking awesome.
What was the first fight? Because I can't remember now.
Fuck me neither.
Because the Themyscira one, while it was cool, it's like Patty Jenkins did such an amazing job with that movie, with Wonder Woman. And then I felt like I was so glad, like watching that sequence within Themyscira made me so glad that Zack Snyder did not direct Wonder Woman. Because again, he reduced the Amazonians to they're still kind of badass, but they were getting their asses handed to them. And and plus, the whole skimpy outfit controversy, all that bullshit. It just didn't feel the same to me as Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman did. So I don't know. Like while I kind of half enjoyed that sequence, at the same time I was like, oh my gosh, like these women should be kicking way more ass than this.
Well, okay, so I didn't have a problem with that, mainly because I knew aesthetically or narratively you would have to see how badass like Steppenwolf is and all the Parademon army would be. So I was okay with that. I was kind of okay. I don't know why they made him like a CG giant. He doesn't need to be.
No, that took me out of the movie. Every time he was on screen,
and I was thinking, right, and I was thinking, Marvel doesn't have great villains like in most of their movies. Even the first Iron Man I hated the Jebediah thing, Iron Man fight at the end. The two right off the bat that I could think of that are decent is Loki, of course, and we just had Hela, which were really good ones. So I'm looking at this character. I'm like, this is the first time that the Justice League is formed in a movie form, a live action movie form, and this is the villain you gave us. This is out of everything in the DC universe, this is the reason why you're bringing the Justice League together. And it follows the same formula as Marvel almost too. Not even just the Spider-Man Homecoming, but instead of giving us like the dark side first or whatever, we get one of his henchmen, and basically that was what Loki did in the first Avengers. We didn't get to see Thanos.
Right.
He wasn't even mentioned in the movie until at all. In this movie, they actually call out Darkseid in it, and it's just like a one line that Steppenwolf says, and it's just a throwaway line because there's no mention ever of the inception dream that Bruce had. It's completely like negated from the timeline.
Right.
Like Bruce never says or Batman never says, I've seen these before in my dream. No, he doesn't fucking mention that at all. He doesn't even say the Flash too. It was like, I saw you before I saw you in my dream.
Yeah, I would have said something to Superman too. I'm like, hey, something happens to Lois later on,
Yeah. So those were the positives. Was the action sequences and things like that, and I definitely didn't like the whole big ending. They didn't have garbage in the sky, but they had garbage coming out of the fucking ground. Wasn't a big fan of that. And that was basically, in a nutshell, like, I enjoyed the action sequences, but holy shit, I've never seen a movie filled with so many action sequences. The script must have been like 10 pages.
Yeah.
Because they barely talk to each other. There's really no chemistry between each of the characters. Because the Marvel, and I'm going to keep using Marvel not because that's how everybody should do it, but they're the ones that started it first.
Mm-hmm.
They took their time. They didn't have any of the characters, so there's like, let's get these people to like these B characters, and that's why you fell in love with, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, because you got to see, even though the third movie sucked, you got to see these characters. He was in 2 solo movies before Iron Man. Before Avengers, and then he showed up at the end of the Incredible Hulk. Right, you even got a Thor movie, right? You got a Captain America movie. These are not A-list characters.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to Avengers, and when they get their asses kicked for the first time, you're like, oh shit, like this is kind of serious, like it's the Avengers, So, yeah. So there's no reason for me to think that like any of these people are gonna die. Like not even like Batman. Like there's nothing.
Right.
There's no reason for me to think he's going to die. I mean, so that's the problem that the whole, if you think about the whole universe for DC, that's the problem, is you don't really care about any of these characters. Batman didn't even have a fucking solo movie. He was apparently in the Man of Steel 2 sequel, which was Batman v Superman, according to Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
So he didn't get his own. So like, yeah, we all know Batman, but I don't know this Batman. I don't know this Batman. When Bruce Wayne is staring up at the Robin suit in Batman v Superman, I would have loved for them to take it where you show Batman and Robin and you do the death in the family thing. You want to take it to an older Batman? Do it. Do it as an older Batman with a Robin, and then show him get killed.
Right.
And then like see how that affects him for the later half of the movie. Like I want to see that. And then that scene in Batman v Superman, you don't have to explain anything to me, because this Batman has, we might have seen Batman in many incarnations, but we never saw in live action movie form a death in the family. We've never seen it. And that they could have done that, but they decided to rush to it. And that's not really about this movie. It's about like, what's come before it. And Snyder's not a great, and there's a lot of other problems with this movie. Like I hated what they did with Lois Lane. Just like Christopher Nolan screwed up with his Batman by making Batman just quit because his girlfriend died.
Right.
Batman doesn't fucking quit. In fact, he doubles down and starts beating the shit out of people even more.
Right.
That's the Batman that I know. That Batman just quit. So like, I hated the Lois Lane. I didn't feel like Lois Lane would just give up and be like, I'm just gonna write puff pieces about kittens or some shit.
Right.
Like if anything, I felt for her character, it would have been even better that she was doing even more dangerous shit than she was before.
Absolutely.
Right. So it would have been like, that would have been a great way for her. I thought Lois was going to deal with it. Not this. This Lois is like, I'm a weak girl, and that pissed me off. And it pissed me off with Wonder Woman too, because even after like you get that great solo movie, you have to remember it takes place before Batman v Superman. So, like, because of the way they introduced Wonder Woman, they had to not have Wonder Woman, like, they had to give a reason for Wonder Woman to still be not in this universe this whole time. Like,
Right.
she wasn't there when Man of Steel was there. She didn't come save Metropolis from, this whole world thing, right? So they had to explain why she kept away, because she just shows up in Batman v Superman for no fucking reason whatsoever, right? Other than Lex having the picture. That's it. That's how they get her in the movie.
Right.
And because so you get this like strong, powerful character in her solo movie, and at the end of it, she realizes that she has to fight for, she has to be out there and still defend for man, right? But then you're like, well, wait a minute, where the fuck have you been? Because in Batman v Superman, you've been gone forever.
Yeah.
So
it all has to do with Steve Trevor dying. It's all about a man.
Right. Right. So, but that's not how the movie ends in Wonder Woman. And I remember reading some things after that movie saying, like, okay, Wonder Woman's great. The ending's awesome. She gives us hope. But then where the fuck has she been?
Right.
Up until Batman v Superman. So you give us this strong character who's getting over a guy, and then Batman v Superman happens beforehand, and you have to explain that away. And that's how they explain it away, that she's still stuck over Steve Trevor. And that pissed me off, too.
Yeah, they did some really weird, questionable like character shit that totally bugged me. I mean, the number one was the fact that Bruce Wayne was running around, building a team as Bruce Wayne, not as Batman.
Oh God, it was even worse when we saw it in the movie. Holy shit, was it? So
I
much
told
worse.
you. I told you. Like I saw those little TV clips. They showed majority of that Aquaman.
Holy
thing.
fuck, was I so pissed after that scene.
That whole scene with Aquaman in there, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like the whole now the way that I took it was, or the way that we took it before was like, oh my God, he's like standing in front of all these people telling the Aquaman that he's Aquaman and that he's Batman and then join my team. But watching the scene, I started to understand like, oh, okay, those people know that that's Aquaman. Because he's been feeding them for years.
Right. That's not the problem I had with it
that's
though
not
beforehand.
the problem. Right. That wasn't the problem. It's just the problem is Bruce Wayne showing up there as Bruce Wayne on
Right.
on a donkey and going like, please join my team. I'm like,
Right.
dude, you should have showed up and been like, hey, I need to talk to you outside or something.
Yeah, so
shit.
I hadn't seen the footage, right? And then we had made fun of it. And because like looking at it, you're like, does nobody recognize that this is Bruce fucking Wayne? Right? And it actually got dumber. It actually got dumber in this because I was thinking it was still a dumb scene, right? Even if you did not mention his name in the scene, it still would have been unbelievable that nobody in that town knows who Bruce Wayne is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do? He actually fucking calls him out, and like Aquaman actually calls him out as Bruce Wayne, right? And then he fucking calls him Batman,
right?
And I'm
Which
like,
I was
holy
like, how did you?
fuck.
Wait a minute.
I don't care how he figured it out, but nobody, Jeff Johns, nobody was like, hey, if we're gonna say Bruce Wayne and Batman to all these people, in front of all these people, we should probably rethink that, because Batman would have found a way to like nerve gas everybody and wipe their memory clean. Like that. They made it so the trailer was already made it seem stupid. They somehow found a way to make that scene even fucking dumber. Like when I was joking around, like when on one of our podcasts, where I was like, I'm surprised if he just doesn't show up in a shirt that says "I'm not Batman."
Yeah,
that would have been actually more like, it would have made more sense than them having a town hall meeting and then writing actually in the script that Aquaman calls him Bruce Wayne and Batman in front of all these people.
Yeah,
like they need the Aquaman to feed them, right? So what better fucking story could you have sold to the National Enquirer for like $5 million for yourself to say, hey, Bruce Wayne is fucking Batman? How do I know? He was fucking recruiting this guy who gives us fish. This guy fucking talks to fish and gives us fish to eat. I won $1 million.
He says that like Bruce Wayne is like, he's like Arthur Curry. or the Aquaman. And then he mentions Atlantis. He mentions, I heard you could talk to fish. And he had that little Ben Affleck smirk on him. I was like, oh my God, I want to smack you right now. This is not Bruce fucking Wayne, dude. It's like, and then so here's the what the fuck moment for me is like, does Aquaman, like Spider-Man, does Aquaman hide clothes all over the place? Because he just fucking just shreds all his clothes and throws it on the beach like it's nothing. Right. And then the other thing was the way he takes off is so stupid. Like he just kind of like drops back into the water. It looks so fake. And then like it just shoots off. But just the way he jumped in the water is like so stupid. Almost like how the crocodile in Suicide Squad like crawled in the water all awkwardly and shit. It's like this looks.
It looked
dumb.
like a grown man acting like a crocodile, like he was trying to tell like
he was
trying to do Lake Placid in like what's a charades.
Yeah,
like he was trying to do Lake Placid.
He was just trying to be cool. It would have looked cooler if he just kind of walked slowly underwater and then jumped out like a fucking dolphin and then jumped back in again. I was like, this is the stupidest thing.
So there's a lot of borrowed stuff in this movie too. So we already mentioned the Spider-Man Homecoming intro, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's a fucking Avengers 2 moment in here when Bruce Wayne says that we got to bring back Superman with this cube. And he actually uses if there's even a fraction. And I'm like, you mean less than 1%?
Dude, when he said fraction, I laughed out loud. And everyone else was got to sit in there. I laughed out loud because I'm like, oh my God.
I'm like, less than 1%, you dick?
Bruce
Is that what
Wayne
you meant?
Does not know how to do fucking math.
No. Look, if there's look, you're fucking Batman, dude. If there's even a less than 1% chance that something isn't right, then that or something, don't do it. The last time you said something similar to that, you got Superman fucking killed. The last time you used your sense of math, he must mean like less than 1% is like, well, he actually is less than the 1%, right? Like, because he's a fucking billionaire. Like, he's the richest, most powerful man in the world. So he is less than 1%. So Bruce Wayne actually thinks that less than 1% is a fucking ton. Because
if like you go on a Shark Tank, that show Shark Tank, and you tell those three guys like, hey, there's a less than 1% chance that you're going to make a shit ton of money if you invest with me. You think that they're going to go like, oh, here's all my money. I'm going to invest in your fucking product because there's a less than 1% chance we're going to get rich.
So after the less than 1% chance in Batman v Superman, we get, even if there's a fraction of a chance that he doesn't kill everybody on Earth. Like, this is the same guy that you had a less than 1% chance thinking he was going to destroy the entire Earth, right? Now, if there's
he's
even
not even using numbers.
Now he went to fractions because he thought like, oh fuck, my percentage is rough. I'll just move to fraction, thinking that's better. So he says, even if there's a fraction that he doesn't come back like a fucking zombie and kill everybody on Earth, we got to do it.
We got to do this.
I'm like, to the guy that I had the less than 1% chance would destroy the Earth, I need to bring him back with a less than 1%, with a fraction of a fraction that he won't destroy the Earth this time.
Which one is it, you dumbass?
Yeah, it's either he will destroy the Earth or he won't. Pick fucking one. Percentages or fractions, you asshole. Like in the next movie, we're gonna get like if there's even half a bushel chance.
If a dozen of eggs worth. You're like, what? He starts just throwing out.
If there's even a baker's dozen chance.
It reminds me of like Naked Gun. You remember Naked Gun? Where he's just like Nordberg's gonna die. They say he's got a 50% chance of he's gonna die, but there's only a 25% chance of that.
That was also an Anchorman when he's like, what does he say? 60% of the time it works all the time.
There's a fraction of the percentage chance of that, a 0.5% of a percent chance. It's like, what? What's going on? Fuck, I'm confused. They confuse. Look, Bruce Wayne's confuses
somehow
them so much that they're
Yeah,
like,
they're
okay, I
like,
guess we got to do
okay.
it.
I mean, he did build the Batmobile, so I guess he can't be that dumb, right? And Wonder Woman's like, no, we
Alfred
really
did it.
shouldn't do it. We shouldn't really do this at all. We
Alfred-
shouldn't do this.
Alfred, do you know how to do math, man? Like, we need some help. What about fucking Cyborg? Cyborg, enter your computer in your head.
Yeah,
tell
that's
me,
that
tell me
would
1%
Cyborg
chance.
should have just quoted the line from Anchorman and be like, that doesn't make any sense at all. That's what he should have said. But instead he agrees with him.
Yeah,
he's like,
just
no,
all right.
all right, let's do it. Even though
Let's
the
do
shit
it.
Yeah, let's just do it. Even though none of it can stop us.
Bad idea, Jeans.
Yeah. So they bring Superman back, like, which is like the worst kept secret ever.
Let's talk.
'Cause
Let's talk.
for like 3 months, you're like, is Superman in this movie? I'm like, he's on the fucking marketing material.
Yeah, for a
And you
year.
have pictures of him on set.
Yeah, for a
Like,
whole year.
okay, so there's always like these, like, you know, fanatical, like, fans, like, that go and try to steal take pictures, right? And post them on the internet. Well, if that was how it was spoiled, I'd be like, oh, that sucks. But they put out their own marketing material that has Superman on it. So, like, him coming back was just like, all right, we're about 30 minutes into this movie. When are they going to bring him back?
There are people online that were like, the marketing's doing a bang-up job selling you the movie without Superman in it. And I'm
There's
like,
no
what are you
twists.
fucking talking
There's no
about?
twists. It's like, oh, they're going to bring Superman back? I didn't know that because, first of all, then if he was dead, why was the gravel on his coffin, like, rising? Was he, like, actually going to come back alive? And then the two crypt guys, like, actually killed him by suffocating him with all the dirt?
When gases leave your body, when you die, gas leaves your body. So it was Kryptonian farts. Essentially, that made the rocks rose in the air. Shit.
That's how Michael Bay would explain it.
Exactly. There's a fraction of a chance it was gas. I don't know. So, well, I want to talk.
Snyder and Bay are almost identical, only you're not going to get, like, dick and fart jokes.
Hey, you never see them in the same room together. You never see them in the same room.
So this is the more
so
serious Michael Bay?
Yeah.
He's under a pseudonym?
Yeah, there's no dick and fart jokes in this movie, at least. But
Yeah.
I want to talk about the mother boxes real quick because
What about them? They're so fucking stupid.
So
they're about the size, dude. They look like the cube from the first Transformer. I was like, holy fuck, this is Michael Bay.
Yeah, and nobody like looks at it and goes like, well, that's interesting. Like nobody goes like, what the fuck is this? They're just
no, they're like, even if there's a fraction, we should use it to bring back Superman.
Yeah. So I think this is dangerous. No, so we were talking earlier about how the box in Transformers, like everything it touches, it turns evil like immediately.
Yeah.
Like there's no like good guys that pop out of that thing. And I'm just like, that's fucking weird.
And it makes gunpowder. Don't forget that.
Right. And so the mother box essentially creates Cyborg, because in the little clip, you know, in the email, it shows
which they don't explain, but a solo movie would have. But whatever.
Yeah,
fuck the solo movies.
And the mother box, I guess, like, you know, zaps him and kind of creates him or whatever. But anyway, so they're trying to, like in the Avengers, it's all about the Infinity Stones, and over 18 movies, we've been trying to figure out where these are, and they're popping up here and there, and what do we do with them and shit like that. And then these mother boxes, they don't even waste fucking time. They're like, boom, here's all three. Doosh. You know, like this one is in Atlantis. And
oh my god! It just made me remember the dumbest thing in the movie. Tell me you thought this too. Okay. So when they resurrect Superman, right?
Yeah.
And he like flies up, the mother box lands on a cop car, right?
Yes. Yep.
And then he goes off and they have their fight, and then all of a sudden, like, the boom tube opens up inside the ship, which fucking moved that goddamn thing already. Seriously. Like, they've already had a fucking alien attack there twice. Right. Twice, and you still leave the fucking ship there. Move it. Clearly, it's attracting fucking aliens. Move it in the middle of the fucking desert. What are you, fucking Michael Bay and Transformers? Let's leave this shit in the middle of the city. Nobody else will attack, even though they've done it twice.
Yeah, that was a little.
So anyway, so the mother box drops on a on a car, right? And I'm like, okay, so somebody go pick that the fuck up. The whole time
Yeah.
they were fighting Superman, I was like, hey, somebody go get the mother box on the the cop car, and then the boom tube again opens up in the ship, and I'm like, oh, why didn't the boom tube open up right next to the mother box in the police car? Right, like it's right there. That's what I was thinking, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So then the boom tube disappears, and then like Wonder Woman, somebody says, "Well, they got the boom, they got the box. We have to go get it." And I'm like, "No, they didn't. It's still in the fucking cop car. Like it's clearly still in the cop car. They
Yeah,
never
that was
ran
a
it."
visual. That was a visual what the fuck moment there.
And
They
I
screwed
was,
up.
they fucked up in the Justice League movie. Like nobody watched this and was like, "Hey, the mother box is still in that cop car. We could just delete the scene completely." Like you purposely show the mother box fall on the cop car, and then you never show anybody go get the mother box.
Hey, where did they use the mother box on him? Did they use it at the gravesite, or did they take him
No.
somewhere?
No, what, Superman?
Yeah,
No, remember it was in the ship. They brought him back in the ship.
they brought him back in the ship. Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that was stupid.
I
That was
couldn't.
really
I could not.
stupid.
I did. So you did see it. You did see the mother box land on the cop car, right?
Yeah. Why didn't
Okay,
they go in
so-
the middle? Why didn't they just fly to the middle of the desert and do the thing there? Like just.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is nobody got the mother box, and Wonder Woman says, "Somebody, we got to go get the mother box."
gotta- right.
Steppenwolf has it, and I'm like, "No, it's still in the fucking cop car. It's
Go
right
get
on the
it.
fucking car. It's right on the car that Lois got out of and yelled fucking Clark again."
What's it with these people like yelling
What
out
the
their alter
fuck?
egos?
Either you're showing up to a fishing fucking like harbor and being called out as Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Hey, where did Superman's suit go while he was dead?
I don't know. Where'd he get another one from?
And was he just flying around like he was just flying around without a shirt on, right?
Yeah, in jeans,
In jeans.
which is fine because he's Superman. But at the height and speed that he flew at, he should have killed Lois. Because
He's a man of steel.
You can't suck in oxygen at that fucking speed, Zack Snyder. You fucking moron. You would have suffocated her. I can't believe she called out fucking Clark
Again.
again. Again. This
For
time even
cops and
closer
civilians.
to the
Yeah.
in the middle of like what would be called Central Park in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Central Park is never fucking empty. Even at night, it's never fucking empty. And
Oh
this
my
chick
God,
calls out
man.
fucking Clark twice in front of cops.
Oh my God.
God, fuck, there's so much. See, that's so this is why I found the movie entertaining, because there's like 75% action and 25% narrative for the plot. And in those
Right.
25%, you get this stupid shit. You get Bruce Wayne being called out as Batman in front of all these people, and nobody shows up to his house to fucking kill him, right? You get Lois Lane calling out Clark again in front of a fucking cop. What the hell? And then you get something so stupid as a clearly, like if anybody's listening that has seen the movie multiple times, because I'm not paying to see it twice, somebody tell me if I'm wrong that the mother box landed on the fucking cop car.
Speaking of like before we were talking about borrowing for movies, it felt like Lord of the Rings to me too.
Oh, which part?
A little bit. About the shit. Oh, I just had it in my head. It was something about the boxes. I can't remember. I'll remember it later. But they borrowed heavily. They also borrowed because it was Joss Whedon. There were scenes out of that where I was like, oh, that's totally Joss Whedon, like the dialogue.
I want to guess that I'm guessing.
The
I'm not
lasso.
sure. Yes, the lasso scene was. I was like, that's Joss Whedon. I'd be surprised if he didn't write that scene. Maybe Zach filmed it, but I would. That's such a Joss Whedon thing because why it's the same thing as in Avengers 2 when they're fucking with each other about the hammer, and then at the very end, Vision has it. A fucking sweet callback to something like that, right?
Right.
Like but the conversations that they have around that table, I've always said is like one of my favorites because he understands this character so well that that's their personality of trying to pick up the hammer. So that on top of that, you're building up bonding and emotion for these characters, right?
Right.
And in that scene, it's a fucking callback because to the lasso, she's used it a couple of times, and it gets Aquaman to do this like subtle thing. You're like, oh, he's really opening up, and then all of a sudden you see, the lasso there, and I'm like, oh, that's got to be Joss Whedon because that's
Totally.
an understanding of a character. Like, yeah, he's a blowhard. Wonder Woman's all about hope, but let's flip this around and let me get this lasso here so he can actually tell us how he really feels. Was fucking awesome, and that's really understanding. If it is Zack Snyder and the original writers, props to you, but I'm going to say that's Joss Whedon's scene.
But you know what? It just pisses you off even more, though. I mean, whether or not it was Zack or Whedon that did it, it still pisses you off because you're like, oh, fuck, what could have been? Like, I wish the whole movie was like this. Like, I wish, like, I cared enough. Because when that scene happens, while it is awesome, at the same time, I was like, this just doesn't belong in this movie. It should be in its own like thing. It should have like built that character up, and it should, because you didn't spend enough time with Aquaman.
No, this movie takes place in like 2 days.
Yeah, you don't get enough time to so when that movie, if you had a whole Aquaman movie, and then you come to this movie and that scene happens, you're jumping up and down. You're like, that's awesome, right? Because you got to know him over time. There was a
there is that fuck. Just the building up the movie things, it's just really fucking annoying. It really is, because this movie. So they do all of this shit in like I think the last half of the movie takes place in one day,
right? Because
they had to bring back Superman that afternoon and then go to the place by midnight,
right?
So they don't have a lot. This is fucking the
Superman
Monster Squad. This is the Monster Squad. This is the Monster Squad.
Oh,
except there was more chemistry in the Monster Squad than in Justice League, because they have to make all those weapons in the Monster Squad, and they have to get over there by midnight to do the chant. Right? They have to in this movie. They have to bring back Superman, and that sounds ridiculous saying out loud that they have to do all this shit.
Right?
And, all these kids have to do all this shit till midnight. Right? But kids can definitely make weapons in a day. Then, if what you have to do is bring back Superman before midnight. Like, that's a big fucking thing.
And they bring him back, but they doesn't even go with him. They're just like, bye.
It's like, oh, shit, I guess that fraction I was really wrong because he almost fucking killed me. So I guess I'm going to have to deal with Steppenwolf first. And if we deal with Steppenwolf, then we're going to have to deal with Superman. We're fucked.
Here's the other thing, is like he goes, we need to bring in the big guns, right? And then I thought to myself, okay, they're bringing Lois in. I kind of knew that was going to happen. Right. Why the fuck did they just bring her before? Why didn't they just have her ready at the ready? Like, hey, we're gonna do this thing, and then have her like just this emotional thing happen, And instead, they're just like, oh, we fucked up. We need to go get the big guns. It's like, what? Like, how do you know where she is? Like,
and psychologically speaking, like, not that I'm a psychologist or whatever, but I gotta say, like, seeing. If you're going to resurrect somebody or somebody that was in like if I woke up from a coma like a year from now, which I think that's how long Superman's been gone or whatever, and I'm surrounded by one person who was there when I died, so that's traumatic, and then by two other strangers dressed in funny weird costumes, I would freak out too. And then the next person I see is the dickhead who tried to fucking kill me until I said my mom's name. Right? So, of course, he's going to fucking flip out, right? Because he just fucking woke up. So, yeah, the two people that should have been there, the Justice League shows up, resurrects Superman, but they get the fuck out and have Martha and Lois there. That would have been smart because he wouldn't have, like, heat visioned them, He would have been like, what's going on?
You chose the one time to wear your costumes when you should have been out of your costumes,
right?
And you should.
But
have
even
been
so,
in a
strangers.
Even so, area.
Yeah, exactly. But even so, strangers, right? You shouldn't. Cyborg can't change his clothes, so maybe a half guy, like
hey,
a fucking.
Put on your hoodie. Put on your fucking jeans and your hoodie again.
Well, he's still got a glowing red eye. So if I'm Superman and I wake up, I'm gonna fucking kill that guy,
mad.
right? So maybe because Superman doesn't know who the fuck Cyborg is because you never formed the Justice League before, you dickheads. Maybe you should keep Cyborg out of the room because he's scary as fuck waking up from being dead. Right, and then you got this little kid here who's Ezra Miller as the Flash, who did a pretty decent job, a different version of the Flash.
Yeah.
But again, Superman doesn't know who the fuck he is. Get him the fuck out, right? And then
costume
Wonder
still
Woman.
sucks.
The last time he saw Wonder Woman was only like 5 minutes, like for 5 minutes, and it would have reminded him of Doomsday, right? So that would have been traumatic too. Like if I was in a coma because I was in like a major car accident, maybe I don't want to see the person there who fucking helped me get hit, right? So who would I want to see? I'd want to see family, right? So I would want to see like my fiance or wife. That's what they were going for, and I'd see my mom. That would be comforting, right? Not the guy who almost tried to kill my mom or tried to kill me if I didn't mention my mom's name.
Right.
Right? I don't have Bruce there because I know that's the fucker who tried to kill me first before Doomsday actually killed me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it call me crazy, but if you woke up from a car accident in a coma, I would not want to see those things. Like if you woke up from a coma, even if you were a Superman, and you've never seen Cyborg before, wouldn't that scare the fuck out of you?
He's all, hello.
Yeah, he's like,
hi.
don't mind me. I'm shiny and all I'm good at is with computers. Yeah, yeah. I look like Megatron, the Michael Bay version.
Yeah, don't kill
with
me.
a glowing red eye, which would remind me of Terminator, and then I would have fucking heat visioned his ass right there.
It's gonna get hot in that suit real quick.
Yeah, and that scene was only like 5 minutes long. It wasn't very long, but again, 25% of fucking utter goddamn stupidity to cover the 75% of just blatant action.
See those numbers I could get behind.
25% of utter stupidity.
Yeah, I understand those numbers. I don't understand the less than 1% chance.
There was I can't even frame it the way he frames it, like a fraction, even if there's a fraction of a chance. And so instead of like less than 1% of a chance,
I wanted Dumb and Dumber. I wanted Jim Carrey to just pop up, and he's like, "So you say there's a chance?" And then he leaves. Wah, wah, wah. They all look at the camera and then break the fourth wall,
like a Jay and Silent Bob.
Right. Oh God.
Oh fuck! It's so
yeah.
dumb.
There were times where Bruce Wayne was totally Ben Affleck. I was like, oh my God, it's Affleck.
Yeah, it's not Bruce Wayne.
It's not Bruce Wayne.
And why does he talk? Why does he have a Batman voice? Just because they have like a voice like changer?
They know
he has
who
a voice
he
changer.
is. Turn it
on
off.
top of the fact that they know who he is, he has a voice changer, right? So you know the way that Christian Bale had to change his voice because he didn't have a voice changer,
right?
Well, Batman,
yeah,
because he couldn't breathe. Well, this Batman has a voice changer, but when he's Bruce Wayne, he's all like, unless he's telling jokes, he's all like gravelly and shit. And I'm like, that's the Batman voice, but nobody's noticing it or really paying attention because you have a voice changer. But I have a good ear for this shit piece of crap. And you piece of shit, Zack Snyder. I can tell he's still doing the Batman voice. Why is Bruce Wayne doing the Batman voice just without the emulator?
You don't have to.
Yeah, but then when he tells a joke, it's fucking what's his face from? It's the guy from the Fashionably Mail, whatever, or from Mallrats. Like that's the only time he doesn't sound like Batman.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I know. He told a joke like, wasn't his arm? He's like, "Oh, I'm bleeding" or something like that. Because
he's like, "I'm bleeding." He's like, "I'm bleeding everywhere" or something like that.
Because Superman does that callback. He's all, "Do you bleed?" And then throws him.
That was actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
I actually liked that.
The one cool thing.
Yeah,
but
I was like, "Oh, they're gonna have Superman kill again. This is awesome."
Now you saw, you saw it on IMAX. So how?
Yes, I saw it on
the whole mustache thing look, because to me there were certain times where I was like, oh my God, that looks horrible.
I'm going to be honest with you. This is not a bit. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't even notice the mustache because
really?
No, and let me finish. I didn't notice the mustache because I couldn't stop thinking why nobody was picking up the box that was on top of the fucking police car.
You're actually looking at plot points.
During the movie, like while this whole battle is going on, I'm like, why you guys know the thing that you're trying to keep away from the parademons in Steppenwolf is just sitting on top of a cop car, right? Like some guy, again, if this was in New York in a Central Park, some guy on a bike is gonna on a bicycle is gonna be coming by soon. He could just fucking take that thing and take off with it, and then Steppenwolf can kill that guy on the bike and then take the box.
It's like
And
you have a multi-million-dollar lottery ticket, and you're on your way to go cash it in.
And you scotch tape it.
You stop to get a hot dog, and you sit it on the stand.
And while it's on the stand, somebody steals your bike, and then you go, man, I can't believe somebody stole my lottery ticket. And you're like, no, it's right there still. Somebody stole the bike, but your lottery ticket is still there.
Well, or they run after the bike, not thinking, well, fuck, I just won millions of dollars. I'll just go buy another one. But they run after that bike.
Ticket.
While you run away to get the bike, they steal the ticket. Yeah,
I can't believe also, like, again, oh my God, that scene has so many fucking issues because it ends with Clark.
Right.
It ends with Clark. Again, I'm so mad at this. I'm so fucking mad at this.
Yield Martha fast. Maybe this will work.
Yeah, instead you know how in
it's
Thor
like a safe word.
you know how yeah, Thor tried to do the whole like Black Widow thing.
Yeah.
But that was really cool in the Avengers, right? Avengers 2 when they were doing that was really cool.
Yes.
And then so it's like a really beautiful thing. Like you see Scarlett Johansson going up and touching the Hulk's hand and saying this like calming effect, right?
Yeah, it's time to go. The sun's going down.
Right. Then you get the DC version, which is Martha. Martha.
It's
Just
a
say
safe
Martha.
word. So like
no matter what.
Bruce Wayne is strapped up on the wall, and Dominatrix is whipping him and shit, and he's just like, Martha, Martha. He's like yelling out a safe word.
Right. And then like Superman busts in through the Batcave because he thinks like he heard Martha, and he thinks that like Bruce Wayne is trying to save his mother, and he busts in, and Bruce Wayne's like all dressed up in this Dominatrix shit.
And then like Euro Trip, they bring out that vibrating hand.
And this is when Superman comes in the Batcave, and he's like, "Oh, fucking Bruce, man."
Oh God, why?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, I want to go through each character. So we went through Bruce Wayne pretty extensively. He's, I mean, worse in this movie than before. Superman, we don't really get a whole lot of dialogue and stuff with him because he's kind of like zombie Superman at this point.
Yeah, he has that supposedly beautiful scene with Lois Lane, and he's like, she says at the end, like, I got to send you away. I'm like, okay, how long did you keep him for?
Yeah, like
because,
half an hour.
Yeah, because, well, longer than that, because, again, this is Superman. He could fly around the world pretty fast, right?
Right.
So it takes the Justice League longer than that because they have to fly in a jet, right?
Right. Probably took them like, what, 10 hours to fly to Russia?
Or it took them actually less than 3 hours, right? Because that's the time frame they had till midnight or something like that.
Nothing goes that fast. I don't even think the Concorde.
I don't know. Whatever it was a ridiculous short amount of time. Regardless, Superman can fly faster than that fucking plane, right?
Right.
So she says, I got to send you away, right? So then you cut to the Justice League having all this stuff, getting to that place before midnight or by midnight. And the whole time, I'm thinking like 5+ hours have gone by. How long did Lois keep Superman? He's got to show up. Like, where the fuck did he go? Did he stop to save some kittens and some trees first? Because there's no way. Again, remember like how long it took him to fly from Gotham to Metropolis towards the end of the movie? But he always takes off like a dickhead, breaking the sound barrier no matter where he is and fucking up the concrete on his feet. So again, there's a time issue here because it would not have taken him very long to go from Kansas to Gotham to see Alfred. Right. And then I presume that Alfred was going to be the one to tell him where to go, right? And then that would have took him like, 20 minutes maybe. So he would have actually beat the Justice League there. He would have been waiting there, kind of like that scene from the Richard Donner one where he's just standing there and the kids drive by from high school wondering how did I get there so fast, and he says he ran. I picture Superman just waiting there, be like, you guys took fucking forever. I've literally been waiting here for 6 hours. See, I made my own Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. I saved the whole town.
Yeah,
You notice
the
that
job's done, guys. You guys took too long.
you notice that they finally kind of went to an area where there was like not a lot of people at. They just like went and like they were built. Steppenwolf was building his shit inside of like a big what is it, nuclear silo or something like that.
Yeah.
So you notice like I noticed right off the bat. I'm like, okay, they chose to go way over here so that there isn't any issues with like murdering a bunch of people. Yet they showed those parademons outside that poor family's house for like 20 hours. Those things were outside.
Yeah, why did they killed everybody in the village basically except for those people, and all of them saw that they were in the house.
Like they're the worst parademons. I'm like, you can't get in that stupid like
It's probably
wood
they
house.
probably got like the rookie parademons where like, I'm not sure, guys. I'm not sure I can go kill. Like, picture the parademon's face right now. It's saying this. Like, guys, I'm not sure I want to eat them. They look pretty. Guys, look. They're living by a nuclear silo. Maybe we shouldn't be eating these people.
They're meek. They're feeble and meek. They're not going to hurt us. Like, let's leave them alone.
So I don't even know how they survived because they
were in a
so
shack.
these parademons like bust through metal doors, and they put up wooden tables, and the parademons didn't break in.
Nope.
No.
Steppenwolf sent the D team out. Okay, like they couldn't.
They were the parademon janitors.
Yeah, they were like the lowest of the low.
Yeah.
So who else? Wonder Woman, I felt was extremely underused. I felt bad for her. I felt Aquaman, especially after like watching Jason Momoa like had like this thing on Facebook where it was talking about his life and stuff like that and how he lives his life. I was sitting there going like, man, they fucking didn't do him justice either. Like they kind of like again just used like they put that there was a scene under that tunnel. And Steppenwolf throws a missile,
right,
and then they're like, "Where are we?" We're like, "Under Gotham Harbor." And I'm like, "What the fuck? What are you doing down there?" You know. And then like the water comes in, and I'm like, "Oh, this is how they get Aquaman in there, just by using the water." And sure enough, he pops up and does that cool thing with the trident, which it's not a trident, folks. It's 5 prongs on it. He does that thing, and I thought that's really cool, but it was just stupid the way it kind of played out. I was like, "Oh man, like was he just hiding out?" Aquaman was just chilling in Gotham Harbor this entire time, like waiting for waiting for a hole to explode. I mean, that made no sense to me either. Like he didn't just, I mean, he just showed up like he was just hanging out in Gotham Harbor. He wasn't like back in Alaska or wherever he was.
You could see a lot of the tricks and tools used in simple storytelling. Like you knew exactly at what point in time Superman was going to show up.
Right.
You knew, like you said, when Aquaman was going to pop up in there. Again, the one scene that always sticks out to me is the Wonder Woman and Aquaman scene because that caught me off guard completely.
Yeah.
That was the one. That was probably the only time I laughed really hard.
You know why it caught you off guard? Because it was awesome.
Because it was good writing.
The half of the fraction of it, fraction of the movie was awesome.
Yeah, there's a few things that were cut from either from rumors or from the trailer itself. Now, so do you remember back when Batman v Superman came out? As soon as the movie came out, right after that weekend or right after opening day, they were already announcing different editions for the movie and like saying like, no, wait for this other edition. I'm like, wait a minute, then why the fuck would I go pay money to go see this movie? It was like the worst marketing move I've ever seen in my life.
I thought it was like right before the movie came out.
I can't remember.
It was something like that, but
either way, it was dumb.
They're like Ultimate Edition and it's rated R, and I'm like, why is it rated R? For what? Like because Deadpool was rated R? Is that what you're saying? Oh no, we've always planned on making this rated R.
But it was still marketing.
Out.
Like, why would you do that? You're literally telling fans not to go pay money to go see this movie in the theater, right? Because there's a better version that apparently They just did the same thing for this fucking movie. Yesterday they said that they didn't announce it, but fans were already petitioning for the Zack Snyder cut. For a longer cut of it, and I'm like, well, which is it? Is this movie awesome, or you want a better cut?
Again,
it's just fucking dumb.
Warner Brothers and Zack Snyder, or a combination, whatever, extremely reactionary, because Batman vs Superman, they're like, oh my god, this movie's so freaking bloated and long. Okay, Then you get to Justice League and they praise it because, oh, it's much shorter, it's tighter, and all that stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, no, dumbasses. This is the movie that should be longer so that you have more time to get to know these characters. If you're not going to do a single Flash movie or Aquaman movie till later, then you might as well make this movie a little bit longer and spend a little bit more time, because they did little things, you know, like Aquaman talking to like the mother box being stolen, and you get to see Mira for the first time for a little bit, who's kind of a badass. Yeah. And so that happens really fast. You see the Flash talking to his father in the jail. But again, you see Cyborg having his issues. You don't give a shit about any of that because it's just a fly-by-night thing. It's just so fast. Like, oh, we got to do this little bit of thing before that we put them all together, because, you know, that way you're emotionally invested later on when they join all together. And I'm just like, oh, fuck, man. Like, if we would have got a Flash movie or an Aquaman movie or anything like that before this, it would have been so much better. A Batman movie. Why do you okay, I'm gonna fast forward here to the very end, one of the end credits that shows Deathstroke, because it was the worst kept secret in the world, because they kept saying like, oh, I don't know, we're gonna do this or whatever, but yet they did it. You know, it was like J.J. Abrams.
No, it sounds like they just fast tracked to fucking Legion of Doom.
It was just like J.J. Abrams saying, you know, like Khan is not in the second Star Trek. No, he's not. You know, and I'm just like, whatever, dude. That's fucking Khan. And then so when Deathstroke,
yeah, but this is worse.
So
because
this
you see
is worse.
Deathstroke in the behind the scenes.
But here's why it's worse. I didn't give a fuck about Deathstroke. You know why? Because they just fought Doomsday, and they just fought Steppenwolf. So Deathstroke to me is a complete backwards, okay? You start with the Deathstroke. You start with Joker and Scarecrow or whatever the fuck, you know, some of those villains are, and you build yourself up to the main villain. I mean, that's what Marvel did, right? You have all these little villains, and they've built up, you know, Ronan and Loki and, you know, all these little rings,
that would be like the way that the way that DC is doing it or the DCEU is doing it is like if you played Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and Mike Tyson was the first guy.
Right, because there's nowhere to go but down now, because you killed Superman. Now you can't kill him anymore. You can't kill him anymore.
You could have had Darkseid kill him and then bring him back in the sequel.
Yeah, exactly. You can't kill Wonder Woman because she's got another movie coming out. We already know that, even though it's set in the past. We know Aquaman's coming out next year. I mean, it's so fucking stupid. You know, this kind of they've painted themselves in this like ridiculous corner that they're never going to be able to get out of now, because
even in the comic books, they were all separated first.
Always. Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's where I was thinking of Lord of the Rings, because it was kind of a fellowship, you know, they just kind of shoved together, but not in
But
a good
even
way.
Then, the hobbits were still friends beforehand.
Right, exactly.
With Gandalf.
Some things.
With Gandalf.
Yeah, exactly.
So 5 members of the Fellowship already fucking knew each other.
Yeah. So this, I mean, fuck.
So let's just
development.
I'm going to say some positives other than the fight. So I actually, other than the scene in Central Park, I'm going to say it's Central Park because it reminds me of Central Park. That Superman kind of felt like Superman towards the end of the movie.
He did.
He felt like a Superman. I was like, oh shit, this is Superman. This felt really good.
Talk about that. You're talking about the mid-credit scene, correct?
No, not the mid. That was cool too.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, but I'm talking about when Superman was, talking while he was fighting. I was like, it didn't feel like Spider-Man, which was a good thing. Right. But the way that he was talking was very confident and like nonchalant, because Superman really doesn't face anybody that he's fucking afraid of. Right? Like he doesn't. Right. Those parademons mean nothing to him. He could take the entire army by himself. Like so I liked that part of the Superman. He was a lot more easygoing, and it looked like they brightened up the suit this time around too.
They did. It was so bright. It's like they, again, it's reactionary. It's like, okay, our plan all along was to make Superman an asshole for a few movies, and then he fucking dies. And then when he comes back, he's going to be
few movies. He was only in 1.5 movies.
Right, exactly. But it feels like a few because of Suicide Squad and bullshit. In Wonder Woman. But anyway, they bring he has to die in order to to come back as like Jolly Clark.
As
And
actually Superman?
that I know, I'm just like, oh my god, like this is the stupidest thing. Like I've seen Henry Cavill in other movies. I've seen him in interviews. The guy is so fucking charming. The
Right.
guy is so charming, but you would never know that watching this movie or
Yeah.
watching the Man of Steel.
It's like
and
he's
the other
Batman.
Yeah, totally. You can't have two Batmans, you know?
So the other scene was cut was from the trailer was the hologram scene where Bruce is in the Batcave looking up at somebody in a cape.
Yes.
And there was a rumor that that was like Supergirl.
Oh, right.
That scene that was cut completely. The Alfred scene, we had hoped you'd all come or whatever. That scene
Right.
never took place. Green Lanterns were in the movie, but not the Green Lantern. There was no black suit, even though that was rumored.
Here's the shitty thing, dude. All those things. I mean, if you were just to tell me that, like, just like I didn't go see this movie or the last few DCU movies, and you saw this movie and you were explaining to me that, oh shit, you know, Aquaman sat in the lasso and told the truth. It was fucking awesome. Or, you know, or I saw Green Lanterns flying around. I would just be giddy. I'd be like, oh my god, that's awesome. But because these movies before this movie were shit, I wasn't excited about any of that. Like nothing. And they actually made Lex Luthor a little bit better this time around too in the end credit scene. I noticed things
Because he
where I
only
was
had
like,
two lines.
yeah, I noticed things where I was like, he's not acting like a little shitty idiot little douchebag, number one. And number two, there's fucking Deathstroke for the first time. I couldn't get excited about any of it.
Yeah.
Because of those movies. And also because we've seen Deathstroke on Arrow. In fact, we just saw an episode like a week ago
Right.
with Deathstroke again.
I thought the Batman theme was cool.
They did the 1989 Danny Elfman Batman theme.
And
I love that.
a little bit of the John Williams theme for Superman.
Yeah, so the music was great. The music was fantastic.
I didn't like the actual Justice League theme though.
Yeah,
I got to give that one to Marvel for
weak
the
sauce.
Avengers.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of the Avengers one either, but I recognize it because it's got a hook to it.
Right.
I can't really even. I wouldn't even recognize the hook if you played the entire soundtrack for me.
no, I want to buy. I want to.
It's not as it's not as iconic right now as the Wonder Woman soundtrack.
Because no, I love Wonder Woman music. I even love the new Superman music. Honestly, the Man of Steel.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good.
I love that music, and but yeah, you're right. But it was really cool to hear it. I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. That actually I got excited about was the goddamn music.
Yeah, but nobody I don't think in the theater picked up on that like we did.
Nobody did because half the people I was sitting in there with were people that were really young. There was a few adults in there. My theater, just to let you know, I saw the opening, you know, sneak preview 6 p.m. show, which, you know, 2 weeks before I saw with Thor, it was packed. It was sold out. And then Justice League though, I don't even think half that theater was full. And I was beyond floored about that. Even though I knew the movie wasn't going to be great, I was still going like because usually those are like where all the fans go to. You know what I mean? It's like if they don't go Friday night or Saturday night or whatever, they're going to go that Thursday night and that's the crowd, the diehard crowd.
Yeah.
And there was nobody there. I mean, there were times where people laughed out loud, but mostly it was the lasso scene and it was like the Flash and Superman scene.
Dude,
and credit scene.
Do you remember early on last year, I think it was, when the hashtag or whatever came out and it said like Unite the Seven?
Yes.
Where's the seventh person?
Well, I thought it was supposed to be Green Lantern, but I don't know.
Because there's marketing material out there that says Unite the Seven.
But they did Revenge of the Jedi too, and they changed that. But
yeah, but
but this is a little different.
Yeah, no, they're actually telling you how many characters are going to be in Justice League here.
Well, they've clearly told you that they don't know how to do math. They don't know how to do math.
That would be like Revenge of the Jedi, and then there's no Jedi.
They clearly told us from day one with Batman or Bruce Wayne that they do not know how to do math. So unless there's some Easter egg somewhere, that they're
what's our hashtag? What are we waiting for? We are waiting for, jokingly, the Justice League Superman Homecoming Ultimate Let Me Explain edition. That's what we were waiting for, to explain where the seventh person is in here.
We need more Jenna Malone to tell us
about a bullet.
Hey guys, you fucking left that box on the cop car, but you clearly you miscalculated.
I'm definitely not making this up, right? Like I swear it was was the box.
I don't
on
know,
the
man. I'll be honest with you. Just like Thor and like this movie, I can't recall a lot of the shit that happened because it was meaningless to me. So I really can't recall. I could recall a couple of things like the lasso with Aquaman, like things that really stuck out to me where I was like, that was cool.
They really ruined Steppenwolf too. Like they really fucking ruined him.
They just reduced him to a
just like
not.
Oh my god, he makes Ares seem like a Shakespearean character.
You know why? It's because they defeated Doomsday. Because Doomsday was undefeatable. Okay, the only reason why they defeated him is because they had a kryptonite spear. But other than that, if they didn't have that, they would not have been able to defeat him. Steppenwolf, they defeated him pretty easily, I guess. When Superman showed up.
No, Superman beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. So it's like
that's the problem I had too. I was thinking, I'm like, you showed Doomsday and Superman died from that, and now this guy doesn't seem like anything. Like Superman's actually like this guy's so meaningless to him that he's actually joking with him.
Yeah, he is.
As he's beating the fuck out of him. Like there's nothing wrong. Like there's nothing. And I remember knowing and watching Doomsday and not even thinking about the fact like, well, now you have to bring out Darkseid because there's nobody else that could beat Superman. There's no choice. So whoever you have him face against, because you could have done 2 Superman movies even before getting to Darkseid, and then having Brainiac be the first reason why the Justice League forms up.
Right.
Like, they never did Brainiac, right? So they never told the supercomputer anything from the Man of Steel, and that could have been the reason why they form up in this movie, and then you save, and then maybe, Steppenwolf is watching all of this happen as the Justice League forms and defeats Brainiac. And then you could have done it that way.
Yeah, you see Darkseid and you see him talking to Steppenwolf and he's like, "Go now, now's the time," or whatever.
Right. Whatever.
And start the revolution or whatever shit. But
you got the guy who killed the only person who's ever killed Superman. That was in your first fucking team up.
Yeah, and that's that again, exactly. Because now you're like, Superman ain't gonna die anymore. It's like, it's so stupid. You're right. Darkseid should have defeated him. Should have killed him. And then Justice League Part 2 is like they need to bring him back for some freaking reason. I don't know what.
That would have been great because again, he's fucking Superman. Like you have hope with Superman. He gives you that, he is actually a beacon of hope, like Bruce Wayne says in the movie, but even though you tried to kill him less than a year later before.
It's like literally flips the switch, man.
Yeah.
In this movie, he's like in love with Superman. He's like,
I know.
"Oh, I love that guy.
He's got like a
that
bromance
guy's my
with
friend."
him.
Yeah. It's like what?
Yeah.
You
wanted to fucking kill him.
You tried
because
to
there
kill
was
him.
Remember that all less than 1% talk? What was all that less than 1% talk?
I'm literally the only thing that you said to him was, I thought she was with you. That's it. After that, he's fighting, and
he's
you're
dead,
hiding.
and then all of a sudden, beacon of hope. You dick!
You almost shoved a beacon into his chest.
Yeah, you were the one. Like 5 minutes before he actually died, you wanted him dead. You were such a hurt little boy that he said your mom's name, and you flipped the switch. What if you were right on that less than 1% chance? Batman would have not let his emotions get involved. And the Batman that I grew up with would have fucking killed Superman right there.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Well, actually, he would not have killed Superman, but Martha would not have fucked my Batman, the Batman that I grew up with. That wouldn't have messed up his head like that.
Wouldn't it have been really messed up if Martha was both their moms? Like Martha really didn't die when Batman was, becoming
the same person?
Yeah. Like the guy shoots Bruce Wayne's dad and then shoots her, but it like bounces off some metal thing that she has in her purse or something like that, so she doesn't die. And then she becomes the one that goes off. She goes off to Kansas and marries, Jonathan, and then Clark shows up in a ship, and so it's like the same mom. That'd be fucked up.
So then it'd be like, so then like it would be like Batman v Superman instead of Dawn of Justice. It would be Batman v Superman Step Brothers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That would be awesome.
That would make so much more sense of why they want to kill each other.
Brothers.
Like
Justice League.
you do
Step
realize
Brothers.
in Step Brothers there's better character development of why those two like each other better than in fucking.
You see Superman like take out his balls and rubs it all over Batman's computer.
Back computer.
He's like, I fucking told you not to touch my computer.
He takes the back of Bruce's neck and makes him lick white dog shit.
Alfred turns the computer off, and they're both like, "Wait, Dad, it's Shark Week. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Go get a job. Go fight some crime, damn it."
I mean, for fuck's sake, son, you could fly. Do something useful.
Yeah. Go make something. Jesus.
Yeah. Fuck. That's really sad. I mean, all jokes aside, Step Brothers has better character development of why they hate each other in the beginning and why they start liking each other at the end.
Right.
That's fucking terrible. That's so bad. That's how bad this fucking movie is that Step Brothers has better character development. Holy shit.
Has better RT rating too.
No. Those Marvel fanboys.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh,
yeah.
just by the way, if our listeners don't know, and if you happen to be a DC fanboy, Rotten Tomatoes is actually 25% is owned by Warner Brothers, you shits. So they're not biased against your fucking movie. If anything, they need that movie to do well. Otherwise, it actually might shut down Rotten Tomatoes. They don't do their own reviews. They're an aggregate site.
Right. And also, folks, if you hadn't noticed, they waited to the last second to lift the embargo on the
You
reviews.
don't do that with a good movie.
You don't do, like, Thor was what, 2-3 weeks out. You knew exactly what you were going to get.
Right, exactly. And so when it's like telling bad news basically. You wait till the very end. You don't say like, "Hey," to your like kid. You don't say like, "Hey, Spot died this morning." You let them go to school first, and then you tell them after school. Why? Because they're all fucked up the whole day of school.
Right. Cried.
So there's no reason why Warner Brothers, who owns a 25% stake in Rotten Tomatoes, there's no good reason why they held that rating back.
There really isn't. I mean, a lot of the people that saw it in the world premiere, they were tweeting out like, "Hey, it's not great. It's better than Batman versus Superman. There's a lot of light fun and stuff like that." Like, I read those and I'm like, okay, like that's you just show the fucking movie and let people just go watch it. Just don't all this reactionary bullshit. You holding an embargo, RT doing like a whole event over what their RT rating is going to be. That was weird. I've never seen that before.
That's like Geraldo's like big surprise of the Al Capone thing. Remember that? And there was like nothing. Like you held the embargo till like what, Wednesday or Thursday night, and you're like, here it is, 40%. That's what I fucking waited for. 40%. I could have fucking told you that.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
knew, like, I just knew it was not going to be like even before they filmed, even a frame of
fraction.
Yeah, even a fraction. I just knew that the movie was going to be better than Batman v Superman. Yeah. I didn't know by how much. I just knew it was going to be better. Why? Because Batman v Superman was so fucking god awful stupidity. There's so many dumb things, and don't get me wrong. There's a lot of dumb things in Justice League, but not as much as Batman v Superman.
Well, you know why?
On the first viewing, anyway.
Because, like you said, they got rid of a lot of the dialogue and just said, let's just do action. You know what I mean? Like they
there's
took
long action sequences.
Yeah, it's like they take away. They're like, okay, we got to get rid of the stupidity and throw some action in here.
Yeah. So instead of writing better scenes, you just give us a shit ton of violence.
Yeah. Which again, just fighting parademons to me is not. Like, watching Wonder Woman kick a bunch of Nazis' ass was awesome. But watching, like, Suicide Squad
those weren't Nazis.
shooting Germans or whatever. Yeah, you're right. They weren't Nazis quite yet, but they were Germans or something. But her fighting them was awesome. Batman fighting those guys in the room, outside of Martha's thing. Which, oh God, we can go on and on about that too because it's stupid in a way. Um, and then Suicide Squad, they fought all those weird mongoloid, possessed humans, but they looked like Walking Dead creatures essentially. And then you have parademons. It's like in Star Wars you have like a ton of stormtroopers. It's the same kind of thing. It's like you could shoot those all day long. Like it doesn't, that sort of violence to me wasn't cool. And then they tried, so I don't know if this is a Whedon thing or a Zack Snyder thing, but Whedon did a really cool thing in Avengers, how they played their powers off of each other.
Right.
So in this movie, I didn't really see a lot of that. I saw like Aquaman flying around like Hulk, and then he's like about to fall, and Cyborg picks him up, and he's like, "Not yet, you're not done yet." And he's like, "Woohoo!" And then like jumps, throws his trident into another parademon, and I was like, "All right." He surfs through a building on another parademon, like a Legolas moment. That's another Lord of the Rings thing. And
Oh yeah.
there was that scene would have been so cool if they didn't show it in the commercials. Number one. Number two, if we got to know Aquaman over a period of time, something like that would have been badass. I'd have been like, oh, that was fucking cool. How he just throws his hair off his shoulder and then keeps going. I was like, oh, that was awesome. But
I'm wondering if the other scene was the Flash saving those people in the truck, and then you see Superman flying an entire building away.
right, that to me, that was another part that I thought was kind of cool. Like I thought there was two things about the Flash, or maybe three, that I thought was really cool. Like one, he saves all those people, and you see Superman fly the building. I was like, that's fucking awesome. That's got to be a Joss Whedon thing. I just like, hey, look at my dick. You know what I mean? It's like, look what I could do. The other thing that I thought was cool was the Flash was running extremely fast around Superman when he first resurrected.
That part was pretty cool.
And you see him following. He's following him as he's running. And I was like, that's pretty cool, because only Superman would be able to do that.
Right.
And then the lastly was the very end, which was based on a comic book, doing a charity event or something like that, where Superman and Flash raced each other, which I thought,
faster.
which I thought that's fucking awesome, because there was one thing in Smallville that I thought was super cool, is when you met Barry Allen, or was it Wally West or Barry Allen in that?
I can't remember.
Smallville. I can't remember either. Anyway, I remember Superman or Clark Kent at the time, because he wasn't Superman yet, running after Barry Allen, and chuckling, and then just like taking off.
Well, he backpedals in the middle of it.
Oh yeah, and he just takes off and he's gone. And I was like, that's fucking awesome, because he's the fastest man on the planet. I was like, that's awesome. So I like that end credit scene where he's like, thank you for doing this. And he's like, no problem, man. That's, curiosity or whatever.
He felt like Superman. It was really cool.
That part right there, I was like, why could you have been this the last two movies? Like, come on.
Yeah, that the little that you got of him as Superman in this movie, it felt like Superman, and it like, made me so much. It made me so much more angry at Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, because I was like, this is Superman right here. Him smiling, him enjoying being Superman. Like, this is Superman. So I mean, I guess they'll explain it away because of the way that he died or whatever. But still, like, why didn't you just do that from the beginning? You never gave him a fucking story arc anyway. So what the fuck is the difference?
Right. Exactly. You can't have two brooding people. But now, hopefully well, shit. I mean, who cares really much anymore? But I guess from now on, he's probably going to be a little lighter, a lot happier Superman. I don't know.
Well, it's going to be with somebody else. So, yeah. It's not going to be Zack Snyder. So
I hope not. I really hope not. They need to hand the reins over to somebody else, because he even, like, just, I swear to God, he just ruins everything he touches. Everything. It sucks. Like, God, my God, can you imagine like having all these different other filmmakers make those other movies, and then Zack Snyder still got hired to do Justice League? I'd be like, no, it just ruins everything that was like being built.
Well, it's the same thing with, Patty Jenkins doing Wonder Woman, and then, because that was the last DC movie we saw was Wonder Woman. Right. And then, 4 months later, we come to see Justice League, and you're like, oh, this fucking blows.
Yeah, they didn't even give a chance for Wonder Woman to breathe, man.
No, I hated what they did with this character, just because they wrote themselves in a hole with Batman v Superman doing it like being the way that they introduced her. Like, again, instead of introducing her in her own fucking movie first, she's just a side bit character in Batman v Superman, And you're like, well, where the fuck have you been this whole time? How come nobody's heard of
Right.
you?
Right. No, I liked our version better of how she was introduced. Our version was much better. But yeah. Anyway, I don't think she
Anyway.
should have been introduced in those movies. She should have had her own movie first.
Yeah.
But
All right,
anyway,
let's do the.
I digress. We're
yeah.
going to be talking about this. We're going to be debating about this movie forever. So we might as well just end this podcast right now. And
Yeah, we'll wait till
save
the
some other shit
ultimate
for later.
We'll wait till the ultimate special. I'm sorry edition.
Well, we'll definitely have to do a live tweet like we did the last one.
Yeah.
Um,
That's where
when
I
that
ended up
comes out.
picking it apart even more when I was live tweeting it because I paid attention to everything that was going on. That was
Oh,
probably
yeah,
the worst thing we did for Warner Brothers was live tweeting that movie.
Yeah.
All right,
everyone listens to it.
so diversity rating. Pretty
Jesus.
pretty Jan
Casper.
Brady.
Yeah. Are you sure?
Well,
I mean, we have Cyborg.
but that's it.
That's it.
I mean, even though Stephen Wolf's like, no, yeah, it's pretty. He sucked. That's what he was.
Oh, they threw away J.K. Simmons' role too. It was kind of reduced to nothing.
Yeah, just a joke,
joke.
about disappearing. So anyway, so
I'm going to say I'm just going to say Casper.
Pretty Casper, yeah.
And as far as chainsaws, I'm going to give it a 2, which is being generous, but only because there was a couple things that, I mean, unlike Batman vs Superman, where I thought it was just a piece of shit all the way through.
I think I might have gave Batman v Superman a 2 as well.
Did you really? If
I
we could
think
go
so.
back, I think we'd probably give it a 1 at this point. But I'm going to give Justice League just a fat 2 chainsaws.
I'm going to give it a 2 lightsabers as well. My lightsabers aren't even fully ignited. They're flaccid lightsabers.
Like the Schwartz, like
Yeah,
like Spaceballs.
yeah. I'll give it a 2. I think when I reviewed Batman v Superman, it was rated so low. I was expecting the worst. And I didn't get that. So I was surprised it was not 27% for me. But looking back on how dumb that movie is, I would have definitely re-rated as a 1. And Justice League is not as bad as Batman v Superman right now in the first viewing. I'm sure if I watch it twice, I'm going to be even more mad. But as of right now, I'll give it a 2 lightsabers. So
There you go. Well, last week we did Road to Justice League, a very bumpy road indeed, and now the bridge is broken.
We did a bumpy road right into a fucking another car accident.
Yeah, exactly. Over a broken bridge, just flew off of it into the water.
Yeah, like we didn't know the bridge was actually raised.
And Aquaman just happened to be there to save us.
If he wasn't giving people fish who don't own cell phones.
Yeah. Like I said, the Yelp rating at that bar would be like, whoa, dude, you would Aquaman and Bruce Wayne were fighting. It was crazy. It was
Aquaman and Bruce
Batman.
Wayne fucking drink at this bar? I got to go to this fucking bar.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, well, that was our review of Justice League. That's episode 109 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic,
Until next time, folks, chew on that.
later.